The Boeing 787 sliced through the night sky at 35,000 feet, its wings glowing faintly under the moonlight. Passengers were asleep, their faces calm and unaware of what was about to unfold. In the cockpit, Captain Reynolds and First Officer Davies exchanged quiet chatter, sipping lukewarm coffee as the autopilot handled most of the work. Everything seemed routine, until a sudden alarm shattered the calm. Engine pressure dropping, left side, Davies shouted, scanning the flashing indicators. Within seconds, the autopilot disengaged itself and the aircraft began to shudder. The captain took manual control, his hands firm but his heart racing. "Mayday, mayday, this is Flight 209 requesting immediate assistance. We've lost Engine 1 and Engine 2 is unstable." Static filled the airwaves. Somewhere below, air traffic control tried to respond, but the signal kept cutting. Then a warning blared again. Fuel imbalance, hydraulic failure, electrical fault, in one after another. It was as if the plane's systems were collapsing from within. Reynolds looked at Davies, eyes filled with disbelief. "This doesn't make sense. It's like the whole system's dying." The plane began to descend slowly, not by choice but by gravity. Oxygen masks dropped, passengers screamed, and the cabin crew rushed to calm the chaos. A mother held her child close. An elderly man prayed under his breath. In the cockpit, the situation worsened. Both pilots tried every emergency procedure they knew, but the aircraft wasn't responding. The control surfaces were frozen, the radios almost dead. Then came the voice from ground radar, faint, distorted. "Flight 209, we're reading your altitude drop." "Can you hear us?" Reynolds tried to respond, but the mic only crackled. The words never reached the ground. At that altitude, the storm interference made communication nearly impossible. As the plane continued to descend uncontrollably, both pilots exchanged a silent look, that grim, human realization that they might not make it. Reynolds' last words before losing full control were barely above a whisper. "Tell them we tried." But just as the aircraft dipped below 30,000 feet, two faint blips appeared on the radar of a U.S. Air Force base, unidentified, fast-moving, heading directly toward Flight 209's location. "Possible civilian aircraft in distress," said the radar operator. "Dispatch 2 F-22s for visual confirmation." Within minutes, 2 F-22 Raptors roared into the night sky. Their call signs were Falcon 1 and Falcon 2. As they approached the last known coordinates, they could see the dim lights of the Boeing flickering through the clouds. Tumbling dangerously, Falcon 1 called out, "Flight 209? This is the United States Air Force. Do you copy?" No response. They circled closer, illuminating the massive jet with their spotlights. The sight was horrifying. The 787 was banking left uncontrollably, flames licking from one engine and no visible control movement. Inside the cockpit, the pilots appeared unconscious. "Control, both pilots are unresponsive," Falcon 1 reported. "No radio contact, no autopilot, no stabilization. This thing is falling." For a moment, the F-22 pilots could do nothing but watch. Then over their own comms, a strange young voice cut in, female, calm and confident. "Falcon 1, Falcon 2, this is Viper 9. I have visual on the aircraft. Permission to engage remote assist protocol." The two pilots exchanged confused glances. They had never heard that call sign before. "Viper 9, Falcon 1 replied. "Identify yourself." Silence for a second, then the girl's voice again. 17 years old, civilian trainee, remote pilot certification class Bravo 7. "My dad's in that plane." There was another pause, this time filled with disbelief. "Repeat, your father is on that aircraft?" "Yes," she said. "And I'm not letting him fall." Before anyone could stop her, she initiated a secure connection to the 787's failing flight computer, something no ordinary person should even have access to. The radar operator at the base leaned forward, staring at the data feed. "Whoever she is, she's overriding the plane's control system." At that moment, the F-22 pilots realized they were witnessing something extraordinary, something that could either save everyone on board or end in disaster. Inside a small garage on the outskirts of Nevada, a glowing computer screen reflected off a teenager's face. Her hands trembled slightly as they hovered over the controls, but her eyes were steady, sharp with determination. Her name was Ava Reynolds, daughter of Captain Reynolds, the man now unconscious in the cockpit of Flight 209, 30,000 feet above the Pacific. She had built her own simulation system over the years, a mix of coding, drone tech, and flight data integration. It was meant to be just a school project. Tonight it was the only thing keeping 250 people alive. Come on, she whispered as lines of code flickered. Through her custom interface, she connected to the plane's secondary data channel, one designed for maintenance but rarely used. Somehow, through sheer luck and raw genius, she managed to gain access. At the Air Force Base, Falcon 1 and Falcon 2 watched as the massive aircraft slowly stopped spinning. Its wings leveled out slightly. "Control, something's happening," Falcon 1 reported. "The plane's stabilizing." "I repeat, it's actually stabilizing." The base commander leaned toward the radar tech. "Who's controlling it, sir?" "Telemetry shows remote inputs, but the source isn't military. It's coming from a civilian node near Henderson." In her garage, Ava's heart pounded. "Okay, Dad, let's do this together," she muttered. She eased the virtual yoke slightly forward, adjusting the nose angle. The plane responded sluggishly, as if fighting her. She adjusted the trim, then cut the remaining engine's fuel flow to prevent an explosion. Bit by bit, the aircraft started to glide. Meanwhile, Falcon 2 flew alongside the 787's cockpit, shining a light inside. "I can see the pilots. They're alive but unconscious. Oxygen levels in the cabin must be low." Ava switched on the cabin emergency system, remotely rerouting power to the life support unit. Lights flickered back on in the cabin. The passengers gasped in shock. After minutes of chaos, they felt the plane stabilizing. A flight attendant looked out the window and saw 2 fighter jets escorting them. She cried out, "They're here! We're saved!" But Ava knew they weren't safe yet. The engines were gone, and the 787 was still descending at a dangerous rate. They had only one chance, a water landing. She pulled up live ocean data, scanning for calm seas. The Air Force Base patched into her feed now, realizing she wasn't a hacker. She was their only hope. "Viper 9, this is command. We're monitoring your link. Advise your intentions." "Attempting controlled ditching in Sector Delta 5, Ava replied firmly. "Need rescue units on standby." The commander paused. "You realize what you're doing?" "Yes, sir," she said quietly. "I'm landing my father's plane." The F-22 pilots flew tighter formation, preparing to mark the descent path. Falcon 1's voice was calm but emotional. "Viper 9, you're doing great. Just keep that nose up at 2 degrees. You've got this." Ava nodded to herself. She could hear her heartbeat louder than the wind outside. The altimeter dropped 10,000 feet. 8,000. 5,000. Every movement she made mattered. "Flaps full," she whispered. "Speed 140 knots. Almost there." The aircraft skimmed the cloud layer, moonlight glinting off its surface. Passengers clutched each other's hands, whispering prayers. At 1,000 feet, Ava took a deep breath. "Brace for impact." The Boeing 787 touched the ocean surface, sending a wall of spray into the air. The fuselage shuddered violently, sliding across the waves before slowing to a stop. For a moment, there was silence, only the sound of water rushing and metal creaking. Then came the cheers. The plane was floating. Falcon 1's voice cracked with emotion. "Control, Flight 209 has ditched successfully. Survivors confirmed." "Repeat, survivors confirmed." At the base, people erupted into applause. In her garage, Ava finally let go of the controls, tears streaming down her face. Hours later, rescue helicopters arrived. Among the survivors pulled from the aircraft was Captain Reynolds. When he woke up aboard the rescue ship, the first words he heard were from a young voice over the radio. "Hey, Dad. It's me, Viper 9. He smiled weakly, tears filling his eyes. "I knew it was you," he whispered. And as dawn broke over the horizon, the world learned about the teenage girl who saved a falling plane from 35,000 feet. A story that would forever be remembered as the miracle of Viper 9.